Very good morning, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma, and this is our editorial analysis. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to everybody. It's a very good morning. It's a very cold morning in here where I'm taking the class from. I hope you can hear and see me clearly. If you could quickly confirm that, we shall be talking about today's article, one topic that I haven't taken in quite a while. Can you guess the topic? Everyone, hi Dia, very good morning. Can you guess the topic? What are we going to do today? So, I'll tell you the source of the article, okay? And it's again one of the most uncommon sources. I usually don't take a lot of articles from this source. The one article that I'm going to be taking today is going to be from The Atlantic, okay? And I'd like ecosystem. I've taken a lot of articles on ecosystem lately. No, not ecosystem. Hi everyone, good morning. No, not philosophy. I'm going to take an article on science and technology, something that we haven't touched, in quite a while. So science and technology it is. One article, a little long, but such an interesting read and so much to infer into the article that we're going to be going slow, but understanding what all could be inferred in those articles. All those people who haven't studied science and technology, no, not AI. So all those people who haven't studied science and technology after their 10th grade, you might have a little bit of problem grasping the nuances because of course your mind is more inclined towards the other subjects that you've chosen. So the idea is, see, an article on science and tech might certainly come up in the examination. If it comes up, how do we make ourselves accustomed to it? How do we make ourselves comfortable with a topic that we are not aware of? That's what we're going to be doing in the article today. So the article is on science and tech and the source is The Atlantic. Good morning, everyone who just now joined me. But before I show you the article, if you're targeting to sit for the CAT 22 program, we have a comprehensive course that we've just now launched. And this is the best program that you can enroll yourself for because this is where you get trained under the guidance of serial 9900 percentilers. You get many mocks, many classroom programs. Look no further, enroll yourself right away. The link is in the description box. You could follow the link and enroll yourself for the program. Okay, you are there, so you're going to have fun reading the article. All right, so here we go. I'm going to show you the first page and then we continue reading this. I haven't eliminated the heading of it because the heading actually is not a true picture of the main idea of the passage. Okay, so the article is talking about what happens when bad things happen to us. Does our mind actually work in slow-mo? That's what we're going to be reading about in perspective of science and tech. Read the page and send me a done. Have fun. I'm sure you're done reading this page. Yeah, it's a simple one. It certainly is a part of the premise. It doesn't give us a strong argument here. So it's like setting the premise for an argument that's going to come up. So he's telling you a story with his own personal experience, quoting this very famous and celebrated journalist and commentator. And he quotes him, the author quotes him, and he talks about his own experience. Of course, we know one thing by reading the whole premise here is that when he went through a situation of peril, a situation that was difficult and a situation that was a rather a gruesome one for him, everything happened in slow-mo here in this paragraph. But the question is, do actually does actually everything happen in slow-mo? Or do we remember it in slow-mo? Or is there something else that's hidden? So the idea is to identify when bad things happen, we remember it so clearly. We remember every ounce of detail in it. Yes, if you think about you yourself being hurt, falling down from the stairs, or anything for that matter of fact that scared you, you would remember every ounce of detail in that. Why would that happen? Why does it look like a slow-mo picture to us is the question. Let's move to the next page and learn more about that. This one. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here that you've done reading this page. Okay. Of course, there's a term that the author introduces here, and the term is tachypsychia. And he says this tachypsychia is a phenomena when your mind moves really fast, faster than actually the things, or faster than everyone else. So that situation is called tachypsychia. Agreed? Now, one of the questions that I have here is, who are these first responders and why does tachypsychia affect these first responders? That's my question here. Who are these first responders? How does tachypsychia affect these first responders? I'll wait for your answers. Because the author says it affects many first responders. Who are these first responders? Actually experienced it, correct sign? And they are repeating what had happened with them for the first time to anybody they know. They're repeating it for the first time. And once they repeat it for the first time, they can actually recreate and restate every single detail they witnessed. Okay? Who were in this stress situation. Exactly, Bhuvanesh. Correct. Those who are facing the situation. आपका आज एग्जाम है 2 बजे. All the very best. May the force be with you and the luck be with you. Put in your best foot forward. Swapnil, if I got your name correct. Okay, so these are the first responders, and of course, because they are the eyewitness, or they've been into the situation where there was, oh, just a minute, guys, there's a power cut. Putting myself on, it's back, I think. Bangalore, that's what happens. Okay, so back to it. I'm so sorry for the disturbance. These are the first responders. And the author makes a claim here that every time you are in a stressful situation, for example, the accident was mentioned in the previous page, it can hamper your awareness and your decision-making process. Now, we'll read more about how can this condition of your mind moving really fast, recording everything in slow-mo, can hamper your situational awareness and your decision-making process. We'll read more about that. Let's move to the next page, everyone. Read this and send me done. Exactly, Bhuvanesh. Fear and flight situation. You've read articles. I can see that. I can see that. So you simple understand this is an experiment that he's trying to do. The experiment and the procedure of the experiment, very likely if this comes up as a reading comprehension, very likely this paragraph wouldn't have a question because it's more of a factual question. If there's a factual question of this sort from this paragraph, we can always come back to the paragraph, confirm our answer and go back and mark it. So very likely you wouldn't get a question from this paragraph. You might get a question from this one. Because if the author poses a question in a passage, he's going to very likely answer this and grab your attention through it. I've already explained this to you. So the author says, is tachypsychia real or an illusion? So tachypsychia is thinking that my mind is working really fast. Or, for example, I'll give you something else to make tachypsychia clear to everybody. See, tachypsychia is fast movement. It could be fast movement of the brain. It could be fast movement of the body. Sometimes we see that a person can actually think pretty fast, and faster, by the time I could process something, the person is ready with the answer because he actually processes everything. My mind is working faster, but in the realistic situation, when I see the situation, everything goes for me in slow-mo. Okay, so I register everything that goes around me. Similarly, there are some people whose body would work faster than everyone else would, like players, like Tiger Shroff. Okay, their bodies, they function faster than everybody else's body. These are examples of tachypsychia. They register every single detail that they see, they notice, they discern. But then, is this phenomena actually happening in real, that the mind is working faster, or is it merely a play of the neurons moving around in our head? I don't know. Maybe it's an illusion. Maybe it's a reality. Let's try to figure out what the reality is. Okay, let's move to the next page. I hope you've understood what CFF is, because the whole passage is going to refer to CFF again and again and again. So it's basically an instrument that this person has created, through which he's going to measure the fact that if the brain actually works in slow-mo or not. Okay, by registering things. Let's move on. Read the next page. This one, send me done. I'll explain this. Read the page, you'll get your answer. Absolutely, Praj. That's what the author is going to focus on towards the end. You're at the right track. Okay. Now see, you must have noticed here that these people who were given this free fall zero gravity amusement park, of course, this free fall was threatening. It seems like it is life threatening, even if you know that there's a harness around you. It seems like it is life threatening, and you know, everything moves in slow-mo. Tell me something. Have you guys encountered any of such situations where you can recollect everything in slow-mo, even if it happened for a fraction of seconds? I will tell an instance out of my life. So while I was drafting in Rishikesh, there's a place at the hilltop where they ask you to jump from, right? It barely takes 1.5 to 2 seconds. But the moment I jumped, I did not know how to swim. The moment I jumped, my body just kept telling me, oh, I'm unable to reach the bottom. I'm unable to reach the water. Where is the water? Everything moved in slow-mo for me because of the fear instilled in my mind. The similar thing happened with them. Yes? Deja vu. Being on a roller coaster. Yes, exactly. So ultimately, the similar thing happened with them. Although their fall lasted for a 2.5 seconds, they registered the entire fall for 1/3 longer duration. So actually, the time doesn't go in slow-mo, which is absolutely impossible. It's their brain that registers every detail that makes them feel that it goes in slow-mo. So that's the whole idea he concluded out of the entire study that he had done. Let's move on to the next page and see what he says. This one. Till this time, till this moment, I hope everything's clear to everyone. Read this page. Okay. Can I conclude people with schizophrenia or any similar disorder register more things? Can I make this conclusion here? Some people who suffer from schizophrenia or similar mental disorders. Yes, more closely, of course. Yes. So possibly it also justifies or defines how people who suffer from schizophrenia hear noises. Somewhat, yes. Not necessarily, but somewhat, yes. They make it up in their own head. It doesn't happen in reality. So it sort of proves, because the duration for them is longer. They pay attention to more things than other people would, and then they make up things out of it. Their brain makes up things out of it, and that's when they hear things that are not there in the background, which we name as something else in Indian context. Okay, so I hope you got the joke. Back to the paragraph. Okay, so of course there's a simple reasoning here, and that is irregular things, everyday, monotonous ones. You get up, you brush your teeth, you take a bath. You don't register everything in slow-mo. It happens really quickly for you because it's a very usual thing for us. But then when you are in a situation of peril, when it's a life-threatening situation, your brain interprets everything very minutely, very slowly. The moment your brain thinks, okay, this might be life-threatening for us. Somebody got my joke, yeah. Focusing on minute details, having deep impact on them and on other people, yes. And of course, we've discussed about, but then there's a question the author puts here. I will answer your question, Shreyansh. Please stick with me for 2 more minutes. Now here, the author asks a question. You are registering everything in slow-mo. It could also be that you're suffering from a mental disorder. It could be a dysfunction of your mind, right? Because the time doesn't go in slow-mo. So are you suffering from a mental disorder, or is it specifically about situations of peril? The difficult situation, the life-threatening one when you do this. So there's an ambiguity here, and the author is trying to find a solution to that. I'll move to the next page and I'll show you exactly if it's our mind playing games with us, if we are our mind is dysfunctional, or is it the situation that makes our mind behave that way. But before that, I need to know something from you guys. I've seen you guys, specifically a lot of people repetitively coming over and over again to my classes. Are you guys benefited with these editorial classes? Do you think, because it takes me a lot of effort hunting through various articles, handpicking one that I could bring that might aid your understanding, that might aid your eclectic reading. Are you benefited through these classes? Shreyansh, are you still there in my chat? I'd like to speak to you as well. It is kind of protective mechanism for brain that slowing things down would delay the pain, or Disha, there's another interpretation here. Slowing things down would help us react. That might protect us. Do you get it? Thank you, Diya, Bhuvnesh, Maitrey. So I don't think Shreyash is here, so I would probably skip his question. Okay, so let's move on. Okay. So ultimately, we don't know if our mind is playing this game, or it's dysfunctional, or it's only the situation of peril that's making our mind do this. Read this page and send me a done. Thank you, Disha. Okay, Devansh, that we can talk about. Thank you, Swahil. Thank you, Praz. Okay, read the page. We've already discussed this one. This paragraph might look a little tricky for you. All those people who haven't studied science, you might have a difficult time reading this page. I'll give you one way of handling something that is tricky for you. See, usually with philosophy, science, experiment, the data is going to be tricky for us. But most likely, they will be followed by examples. If you don't understand the theory, like this and this, you go back to reading the examples that will explain the entire theory to you. The similar happened with the time perception of a niche differentiation as well here. So there's a clear example about a cold-blooded swordfish that dives down deeper in search of a squid. And in the same swordfish, we see an upshift in the CFF. We see a change in it, mind working faster by sending warm blood to their eyes. That's a mechanism that we see. Okay, so ultimately, if you don't get the entire theory, please pay attention to the examples given. They're going to be making life very easy for you. I hope you got the example of the swordfish, how the similar CFF surge is seen in the swordfish, because probably she thinks her life is in peril at that moment. That's the mechanism, the body mechanism, like we think when we face a situation of danger in our lives. Ultimately, this gives the swordfish a huge advantage when it dives to a deeper portion, colder waters. Although it's a warm-bodied animal, it dives into the colder regions below the basic region he stays in and easily catches its prey. Because then you have the entire strength that nothing's going to happen to me. A short relatable example can be my brain somehow recalls Tuesdays and Thursdays are editorial days. Absolutely. And you know, I never set an alarm, but Tuesdays and Thursdays I'll get up before time. That also is your brain telling you. Exactly. So ultimately, the swordfish would catch the fish. It would still stand a little chance of survival. When it thinks it has no chance of survival, the CFF would spike, it would go up, telling the brain that you have to register every minute detail. It's do or die. It's fight or flight situation. Remember, Bhuvnesh? So here we go. People can't get away with this iron brain warming tactic to crank their CFF. I mean, imagine if we could do this, warming our brain up, our eyes up, and then crank the entire CFF component. It would be so good for me to spike my CFF at my own will when I'm going to run for a race. I would love to do that. So it's impossible for us to do it, right? We can't alter our CFF at our own will. It would mean heating up the tissue into high fever territory where proteins unravel. I don't care about how it happens. I know it cannot happen to my body. Read this paragraph, send me a done. Here comes my example of tiger shroff. You would agree to it. Yes, Prads. Possibly, Dia, the justification is given in this paragraph that some people have slightly different CFFs than other people. Very likely, Tiger Shroff's CFF is higher than yours and mine is. And then there are other examples, of course, Bruce Lee and other people. So, in situations of peril, sometimes we get utterly confused as well. We don't register everything. But later on, when you have to recollect it, you will be able to recollect it with absolute accuracy. So at that moment, yeah, you don't realize that your mind is working in a chaotic manner or a very careful manner with high CFF. After the situation ends and when you recollect things, that's when you realize the CFF had spiked up. Absolutely, yes, Devansh. With the football example, it becomes really easy. Okay, and I have the last 2 pages. Read this and send me done. I am interested in this. So now the author makes a few claims. He says, I've done some research, but there are a few questions unanswered. One, if CFF is variable from person to person. Two, somebody with high CFF, does he perform physically better, like being an athlete or something, being very quick with response? Does somebody who has low CFF, does he tend to omit? I mean, I think all of us could possibly rate ourselves as one of these because we tend to miss out on subtle information in passages, subtle facial changes. I certainly do, not with RCs because I've been doing that for quite a while, but with facial expressions, absolutely I do. So the idea, Pratik, you're pretty late, my child. So ultimately, I think most of us would rank us as low CFF individuals, but the author is keen to know that. Two, he also is keen to know that if the low CFF individuals can be trained in a specific manner that makes their mind a high CFF one. So can training be possible with that? That's the entire gist he's trying to draw. And this paragraph draws a conclusion to the whole article. Read this and tell me what the conclusion is. Now, answer this question. What does this mean? What is this temporal dimension? What does this mean here? What do you think is the temporal dimension here? I'll wait for you to answer. Okay. Could be registering things too fast here. See, I'll explain what a temporal dimension is. Temporal is relating to the world, relating to the existing time. Okay. The question is, like swordfish, it doesn't behave like other animals do. It behaves in a different timeline altogether. Are there people who on this world are alive who behave or register things in a different timeline altogether? Their timeline is different. It's faster than others. They live in a different temporal dimension. Are there people like that? Could be. The question still remains unanswered. That is what it means. High CFF dimensions, you could say that as well. A special ability, yes, but we still don't have any answer to it. Exactly, Prats, the high CFF dimension. A zone where perception of time and things happen around have a new relativity unlike ours. Yes, Disha, that's another temporal dimension. I hope you loved reading this article, and that is all for today. I expect you to like the video if you haven't done that yet. Comment under the video if you think you've been benefited through the article. If you're watching it recorded, share the video with all your friends. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram. Download our app on Google Play. I shall see you again on Tuesday. And I am starting off with the longest drive ever of my life. I shall be taking classes from multiple locations. I'll keep you updated from wherever I'm taking classes. The background remains the same, but and the classes would continue, but the location would keep changing. So have a very good day, everyone. God bless you. Work really hard.